All right, let's talk about Norway. We're going to dig into a country that looks like it's living in the future, but is paying for it all with the fuel of the past. It's one of the biggest contradictions on the world stage right now. Let's get into it.
98%. Think about that number for a second. That's the percentage of new cars sold in Norway that are electric. Last month, you could count the number of people who bought a new gasoline car on two hands. I mean, they've completely electrified their car market. They're done. Meanwhile, the rest of us are still arguing about where to put the next charging station.
So yeah, the internal combustion engine, it's basically a museum piece over there. The machine that powered the entire 20th century is obsolete. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. You know where the money came from to pay for this green revolution? For all those electric cars? It came straight from their oil and gas rigs in the North Sea.
And that right there is the massive contradiction we're talking about. What Norway practices at home is the polar opposite of what it profits from abroad. So let's just lay it out. There are two Norways. At home, you've got this environmentalist paradise. I mean, nearly every new car is an EV, and their lights are kept on by clean hydropower. But then there's the Norway that deals with the rest of the world. And that Norway? It's one of the biggest oil and gas producers on the planet, a top 4 gas exporter, literally fueling the very factories and homes in Europe that they claim to be moving beyond.
You see what's happening here? They've managed to build this perfect green image for themselves, all while making a fortune selling the very fossil fuels they've banned at home. Some people call it hypocrisy. And yeah, it is. But it's more than that. It's strategic hypocrisy. They're using oil profits to greenwash their entire country.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Don't just write this off as hypocrisy. No. This is a cold, hard, calculated strategy. It's a long-term economic play. Think of it as a massive insurance policy for a world that won't need their oil anymore.
Okay, so their stated goal, their big target, is to be completely carbon neutral by 2030. And they're pouring money into things like offshore wind and carbon capture to make it happen. Why? Because the people in charge, they aren't stupid. They can read the writing on the wall. They know the world's demand for their oil and gas has a shelf life. It's a race against the clock.
And this is how they plan to win that race. $2.2 trillion. That's the size of their sovereign wealth fund. It's their war chest. It's the insurance policy we were talking about for the day the world stops buying what they're selling. This fund is what makes them different from every other oil state out there. So the grand strategy, when you boil it down, is pretty straightforward. Step 1, sell as much oil and gas as you possibly can, right now. Step 2, take all those profits and stick them in that massive fund. Step 3, use the money from that fund to build a brand new economy that doesn't need oil. And step 4, well, that's just securing their future. They are literally using the last days of the oil age to finance the dawn of the electric age.
Which brings us to the final point. And this is a sobering one, because what Norway is doing highlights a tale of two very, very different futures. Two completely different ways of thinking about national wealth.
And look, the key thing to understand is this. Norway's success isn't an accident. They didn't just stumble upon a bunch of oil and get lucky. They got prepared. They had the discipline, the foresight to manage that windfall for the long run.
And the contrast, when you put it side by side with, say, the United States, it is just brutal. I mean, look at the books. Norway has a massive national surplus. The U.S., a record $39 trillion in debt. You look at infrastructure, Norway is building for the future. The U.S. is running on a grid that's aging and fragile. The strategies are night and day. One nation saves its windfalls, the other spends them, and then borrows against a future it hasn't paid for yet.
So the bottom line is this. Norway has played its hand perfectly. They've set themselves up to be the only major oil and gas producer that won't go bankrupt when the world finally kicks the habit. It's that simple. They've cashed in today's assets to secure tomorrow.
So I'll leave you with a simple question. Who's ready for 2030? If you want the answer, don't listen to the politicians. Just watch the energy mix and watch the national balance sheets. The numbers don't lie. They'll tell you who's prepared for what's coming and who's about to become a relic. Stay sharp out there.